The third thing is, if you work, you've got to work what we call the bar area or the parlor area. Know people by their picture. You can go to their website and say, the leading guy in my field is Jerry Ferris. And he is the leading guy in my field. I know what Jerry looks like, but I get a picture, and I'm going to be carrying that picture. There's Jerry Ferris. I'm going to walk up to him and say, you know, I really like that article on political skill, and I've been thinking about doing something that extends it for my dissertation. Jerry will take it and look through it and say, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Let me send you some information on it. He's that kind of guy. So it's to meet people that could be valuable to you in your career. Let's go back one step further. The hit rate at conferences, most conferences, and I don't know the Australian conferences, but I can't imagine they're much different, is the national conference, the Academy of Management Conference, the American, or the Marketing Association Conference. The hit rate there is going to be over 50%. The hit rate at the regional meetings, which are the smaller associations, the Eastern, the Western, whatever in the world it is, whatever designation it has, is going to be 75 to 80%. So what you have to do is write something that's not idiotic. That's the first thing. Don't take a student's paper and put your name on it and turn it in, because it's a student paper. And we can pick up on it like that, and you're going to be part of the 20% that doesn't get accepted. So write your own paper. The key to it is each one of the conferences is broken into tracks. The human resource track, the management track, the marketing track, whatever it may be. They'll give you a little squib of what they want. How do you find out what they really want? I can tell you exactly what every conference track wants. Why? I see the guy's name, I see where he's working, I go to his webpage and I look at what he's been writing on. All of a sudden, his references show up in my article. Do you think he's going to reject his own work? I don't think so. So that's the second thing you got to do. You've got to figure out a way to tie into these tracks that are critical issues. And the third thing you have to do is, when you're writing this paper, is do all the mechanical things right. Mechanical means how long should it be? How big are the margins? What kind of, if you don't do that, and I pick it up, and she's guilty of this, Natasha is, I pick it up in single space and I'm going, what the hell, she want me to go blind? It's supposed to be double spaced. And she gives it to me in single space. I yell at her, give it to me in double space. I get it back the next day, it's in single space. If I'm a reviewer for this thing, I know how long the paper is supposed to be. I know how it's supposed to be formatted. Don't make me worry about going back to her and getting it all done. I don't want to do that as a track chairman. Because you know how much value there is being a track chairman at the end of the year at your university? Zero. Why did you do it? I got a free trip, free vacation. Those are the three most critical things you can do. Tailor it for the track, tailor it for the person that's the track chairman or anybody else that's influential in that track that's going to be there, and then write something that's your own. The key to it is, and we couldn't do this in marketing, you guys can do it in management, is to write a paper that you can then expand and turn it into a journal article. Never write just for a conference proceedings. Don't do that. It's a waste of your time. It doesn't have value, other than you get a free trip to wherever the hell you are. I'm in Cleveland and she's in Hawaii. Yes?
Here they encourage us to try to publish in a conference to give examiners some confidence about our research, that it has been reviewed by experts. Yep. And the time which we have to wait for a conference is more shorter than the journal. And this is
the only problem with that is, as a dean, which I was, I said it doesn't count. There's a very famous article written by Steve Kerr. If you haven't read it, read it, because it's an excellent, excellent article. It was written in the 1970s in the Academy Management Review. And the title of the paper is "The Folly of Rewarding A While Hoping for B." So I give a reward system where I'm rewarding him to come to class, not to study. The way I look at it, I reward faculty members to go travel to conferences hoping that they'll write some journal articles. Those two things aren't necessarily tied together. So at my university, I spent $150,000 sending people out, and the value of it was zero. What I did was I took the $150,000 out and I said, okay, if you hit in these journals, this one's worth $6,000, this one's worth $5,000, this one's worth $4,000 every time you do it. Oh, by the way, you don't have to take the money as income, because then you have to pay taxes on it. You can build up a war chest of money over time to travel wherever the hell you want to go. You don't have to go with the conference. I'd go to Hawaii with her if I had any brains. So what I did was I made, tied together the reward in what I was expecting, which was a journal article, not a conference proceedings. Some people are coming up with something pretty clever. There's about 5 or 6 of them in the United States. I don't know whether it's hit Australia or not. They're putting on a conference, and then they put you into a journal that comes out of the conference. They have 4 or 5 journals, and rather than having a proceedings, they'll say, you're in this journal, or you're in this journal, or you're in this journal. And what they've done, which is really quite clever and insidious at the same time, is they said, the International Journal of Business Strategies. Well, there's a very good journal called the Journal of International Business Studies. So they named it almost exactly the same. They take it to the dean, and most of the time the deans aren't smart enough to figure this out. They said, oh, look, I had a JIS, the acronym for Journal of International Business Studies, except it was Journal of International Business Strategies. So keep an eye out for that. Who would you think that would be? I told them I always want to dance when that comes on.
Awesome.
What I'm saying to you is, if you're trying to get some line items that look like journal articles, this is a way to do it. Do I advocate it? The answer is no. But I'll tell you, when you're young, I'll do anything to get you a line item. You know, it's picked up by the police. You know, okay, there's a line item. Let's put that on there. So when you look at a conference, look at it from the standpoint of, do I really want to do this, or do I kind of want to write a synopsis paper that I can then turn into a full-blown paper for a journal? Never write it just for the conference, in my opinion. What else?
Since I'm doing my confirmation very soon,
yeah.
In a PhD level, can we use, for example, a research model that hasn't been used a lot? Like, for example, I don't know, of course you've heard of Dittmar-Straub's model and
yep.
cultural effect.
Yep.
It hasn't been used a lot. It has been used, but not a lot. But I got some comments mentioning that at a PhD level you cannot do that. So
again, you have to be very careful. She is my servant. You know, I treat her as though she's one of the animals on my farm. When she does this, she has to do this. And what I don't want her to do at this stage is to challenge me. She's going to take my model and she's going to test it, and she's going to maybe make a few changes at the end. You're not at the stage where you can challenge me or your professors. A dissertation is this, and never forget it. It's to get from A to Z. It's not to be great. It's not to be published. It's not to establish your career. It's none of those things. It's to get your degree. There's only one good degree, the one you got. The dissertation is irrelevant other than to show me that you know how to do research. That's all I want to know. I don't want it so complex you can never finish it. I don't want it so needy of a sample that's so involved that you'll never get it. One of the problems with Miriam is we're interested in impatriation. Getting a sample of impatriates is really, really, really hard to do. So we're probably not going to do a dissertation in that area. We'll do it in something that's related to it. So my answer to you is be very careful with jumping out on a limb when you have no exit strategy. You know, one of your exit strategies, they're going to saw off the limb and you're going to drop to the bottom. Talk to your dissertation chairman, talk to your key people and say, here's what I'm thinking about. And as soon as they say no, oh, but I've got another idea, here it is. It's not a time to earn your manhood. It's a time to get done. That's a practical approach, but don't challenge me, because I'll probably win. There's no other reason I can keep you from getting your degree. And I'd do it just like that. Yeah.
Very golden advice.
Dissertation is something to go from A to B. What
Yeah.
do you mean?
Yeah, a dissertation, in my mind, and again, you have to remember you're talking to an old-timer heretic. It's not to come up with the bright new idea. It's not to solve the most complex problem, because those are the ones that are never finished. 50% of people that start a PhD program never finish. 50%. 50%. So what I want is, can you identify a problem? Do you know what a problem is? And most of you are going to struggle with that. It's coming up with something that's unique, that's different. Then can you delineate that problem and break it down into component parts by looking at the literature, the extant literature on that topic? Then can that literature lead me to a theory that's going to lead me to hypotheses, that's going to lead me to data that I'm going to collect, that's going to lead me to analysis that's going to give me conclusions. That's A to Z. I don't want, it shouldn't be the most important thing. My dissertation was so bad that I didn't even get it bound. I said, oh crap, I don't, get it out of here, this is terrible. You're going to read yours 5 years later and you're going to be embarrassed that you wrote it. You really are. You're going to look at you got to be kidding. I got away with this. That's what I meant by A to Z.